Good morning and welcome to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook and on the New Mexico Sports Network, along with producer Jason Pohl. Our special guest today, Artesia head football coach Jeremy Maupin. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Yes, sir.
You know, Coach, we've had some visits, man, over the years. I believe we had a pretty good correspondence going. We wrote some articles about your team in Los Lunas and in Chapman Sports. And, you went back to Artesia. You got the job in May of this past year when Cooper Henderson, who's still the athletic director out there. And I thought it was, something that was going to happen, bound to happen. You had a great run in Los Lunas. Tell us about that when that job came open, though. I mean, you're going to apply for sure. Tell us about the whole process and how it feels to be the Artesia head Bulldogs football coach. What a huge responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it still doesn't feel all the way real because it's just happened so fast. But I had a great time in Los Lunas. I had a lot of really good friends and got to coach a lot of really good football players. And it was harder to leave. I know everybody just thinks I just ran over here as fast as possible, but it was a tougher decision than honestly I probably thought it would have been a few years ago. Just because I feel like we were building something there and doing some good things, and so. But like you said, man, the call home's it's hard to not hear that call and get to be back around family and a lot of lifetime friends and just to back to the program where you played and where I got to coach for a few years. So it's been really, really good to be back.
Coach, 30 championships at Artesia. It's legendary Bulldog Bowl, which I've never visited, and I got to get out there. When you drive into town, and your team defeated Las Cruces Mayfield, a good Las Cruces Mayfield team, 35-21. I was surprised that Coach Bradley had said he had only been to Bulldog Bowl one time. I read that in the paper. I'm like, his dad, I'm thinking he's been there 10 times. He had only been there one time, and you sent him home with a loss. And this week, against the number one Farmington Scorpions, what a game that's going to be. And on the other bracket, you've got Los Lunas in a rematch against Roswell Goddard. And, Coach, we can talk about the possibilities of Artesia versus Los Lunas, but first things first, man, because Farmington, ranked number one in the state and undefeated, is one fine team.
Yes, sir. No, I mean, undefeated, number one ranked team. We got to go see them this summer. We went up to Bloomfield and did some 7-on-7 and lineman stuff there. They're big, they're fast, they're strong. They have a lot of, that's the word swag gets pushed around a lot. I mean, they play every game like they're going to beat you by 50, and they beat a lot of teams this year by 50. And so we know we have to play really good football this weekend. And like you said, that's our only focus right now is Farmington.
They play fast. The quarterback, Furby's got an incredible quarterback rating. He's had a great season. They come out and their defense will hit you, right? They play both sides of the ball. They don't get to be where they are, for no reason. Any kind of defensive game plans without revealing the plan. What do you think of the quarterback, Furby at Farmington?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they play fast. I think that's the hardest thing to try to simulate in practice is to get your scout team to play where we're looking at a card and they're playing fast and they're having to line up quick. I think the biggest thing is you got to get your guys in a situation where they can quickly get lined up into the defenses that we want to run against different sets. They're a lot like us. Like, they're not going to set you to death. You play, a Greg Kennington or, some of the Bradleys, different people, and they're going to get in 6, 7, 8 different sets, and you have to move quickly to those different ones. But really the spread teams, you get doubles, you get trips, you get quads, and they run a little 2-back set. And so we know it's not as much about, figuring out what set they're going to be in. It's just getting us in the best position as fast as possible. And so that's really our focus this week is just making sure we're practicing fast and getting set up. And, with Farmington, the thing that they've done all year too is big plays. I mean, you even look at their last game. They start off the game, I think it was the first play of the game, big post down the middle of the field to their best receiver, Shea, and then 2 punt returns for touchdowns. And so they're a big play team. They get momentum that way, and then they just move fast and keep the ball out of your hands. So we know we got to be able to get some stops, and then the biggest thing is we got to be able to get the ball in the end zone ourselves.
How big is it with personnel packages? You just mentioned getting people in and out of the field because they're going to come to the line quickly, right? I had them last spring at University Stadium, and they come to the line very quickly, very quickly. So how important is it to get your personnel groupings in and out of the field on time, in position? How do you do that? How do you practice game speed with that? Because that I'll tell you what, during the game and whistles going off and coaches trying to yell instructions with the crowd making noise, that's a lot of adjustments, and they've got to be made.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing against these guys is you can't sub, a whole D-line group at the same time. I mean, we watched that game last year, Mayfield, Farmington as well. I think the biggest thing is you got to the personnel you have on the field, you just got to get them put in the best position. And then, you do a lot of your subbing in timeout situations or, turnover or, when different series. I think you have to limit how much you're able to sub during while they're going, because they're going to catch you. They've caught pretty much every team with 12 men on the field this season and last season as well. So it's just about getting the guys that are on the field in the right position and trying to limit who you're running on and off.
Their breakneck speed is impressive. It's impressive because they put you on your heels. I saw them do that last year, and they've done that so far. So, yeah, your defense has got their work cut out for them. But you know what? You've got some plans for them too, I'm sure. It's a state semifinal game. You're going to have your offensive chances as well. I wanted to go over your schedule a little bit. We talked about it on the selection show a little bit when we, you opened up with a loss to Carlsbad, beat Hobbs, beat Berlin, you beat Deming, you had 3 in a row, and then you have Cleveland. In Cleveland, they came up to Artesia, and they put 70 to 29. Talk a little bit about that game. Then you beat Lovington 69 to 58, and kind of a flip around there. You beat Ruidoso 50 to 20 and lost to Roswell by only 30 to 29. A win against Goddard 35 to 31. A win against Alamogordo 42 to 7, and then a win against Mayfield 35 to 21, where you are now. Overall record of 8-3. Now, after that Cleveland game, was there anything that you took from, again, Cleveland's Cleveland, right? They're in the state semifinals. They're a very good football team. Was there anything you took from that game? And then Lovington is also a good team, right? Lovington's also a very good team too. 2 tough games back to back like that. Was there anything your team took from those 2 teams back to back?
Yeah, I mean, we love playing teams like Cleveland and Lovington and those teams. I mean, you look at our schedule. I think if I'm correct, every team on our entire schedule except one was in the playoffs in their division. And I think that's, we want to play really good teams. We think that prepares us for the playoffs. Artesia's always played a tough schedule, and so we like it. Cleveland, like you said, they're Cleveland. I mean, I think for the people that really watch that game, I think even you talked to Coach Ridnour, I know they end up scoring 70, but I mean, right before half, it's 21-17, and we're in the game. They score right before half, so at halftime, it's 28-17. They get the ball back. All of a sudden, it's 35-17, and then we kind of trade back and forth. I think they're a really good football team, and they rolled, and it was tough to stop them. But I really we battled for a half, and we put ourselves in that game. We just didn't come out and play very well in the second half consistently. But a lot of things we drew from that game that I think have helped us to get where we are now. And then the next week, you play Lovington, and honestly, Lovington's probably one of the most athletic teams we played all year. I mean, they're loaded with skill kids, and it's not an excuse or anything, but you play Cleveland. We had a couple injuries, and we had some new guys in some new positions against Lovington, and those guys took advantage of some things there. Luckily our offense rolled. Our running back had over 300 yards rushing in that game. He's a really, really good football player. Had over 200 yards last week against Mayfield. So I think the biggest thing though, when looking at our schedule, is it's our goal every year is we've gotten better every week. We started off with a loss, and honestly, if you would ask me if we would have been where we are now after week 1, I would have taken that bet, because we just were in a weird place at that time. New coach, new systems on defense, and it took us a little while to get rolling. But I feel like we are playing our best football right now. And if you look over our scores and over the season, I think we've gotten better every week. And that's where you want to be heading when you're playing in the playoffs.
There's no doubt about it. And I'll tell you, you and I talked about this before during the break. The name Artesia itself, right? 30 state championships. Excellence is expected. When you came there, Coach Henderson has done what kind of mentor is he still to you? Because you coached there in Artesia. You played there as a quarterback. Then you coached from 2012 to 2016 there, and then you got the job in Los Lunas. 2 finals appearances at Los Lunas. You've been to playoff football. You played in playoff football. You know what it takes to get there. And I'll tell you one thing. That's why I always love talking to you, because I always say you're like a mad scientist in the lab with some of the packages you used at Los Lunas. The jumbo package always got me, man. I was like, look at this. I enjoyed it, though, because I knew you'd take shots down the field, too. Before the half, you did that at Berlin a couple of years ago. You had Kay Benvias throw a long bomb and score right before the half. You're gonna take your chances. So I love the way your offensive philosophy mind works. You had great players in Los Lunas. What did you take out of coaching at Los Lunas? Again, you're an assistant at Artesia. You go rebuild that, and Greg Henningson's done a great job, by the way, and would taking what you did and taking that passing team and turning them into a running team. Coach Henningson and I talked about that. Because you guys threw the ball around at Los Lunas quite a bit. Coach Henningson likes to run the ball with a lot of same personnel, but it's worked. It's worked. What did you take from your 4 years at Los Lunas to be able to come over here again? You had your chances in Los Lunas too. Rebuilt that program. And what did you take out of coaching in Los Lunas when you came to Artesia?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the biggest thing is just belief. I think when I first got to Los Lunas, I just don't think our guys believed. And I think that first season proved a lot of things, and we were able to turn some things around in 18 and 19 and continued. And I feel like we got those guys thinking they could win and competing for championships. I think one of the first things I said when I got there, I told the parents, don't make plans for Thanksgiving because I'm planning on practicing. And, when I got here, got back to Artesia, that's the same thing. I've told the parents here and our players is, we're here to compete for championships, and we have the team to do it. If we can put this thing together, our motto from the beginning's been locked in. Like we locked the gates and have kept people out to just try to build that community and those relationships. And then, we talk every day about what it means to be a champion. I was fortunate enough when I got here too, talking to Coach Henderson, I convinced him to come back out and coach, and he's coaching our slots for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yes,
man.
Sir.
Yeah. What a boon that is, Coach. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Wow. No, that's great. No, it's been great to have him back out, and I think he's really enjoying it. Coach Bowden, that's the thing about the staff here is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 guys, 5 guys counting me have all played for championships here in Artesia and won. And they're coaching back here. And then you got Coach Bowden, you got Coach Henderson, and Coach Jaramillo. We got a lot of guys that have coached, championship teams. And so it's just continuously talking about that and letting our guys know, like, that's the goal. Like, I hung a big banner up in our locker room that has a picture of the blue trophy on it. Like, that's our goal. And it's just talking about those. It's believing. It's always been unique in Artesia that every class believes they're going to be the next one to win. And so it was just kind of getting back to some of those beliefs. And I felt like we did that in Los Lunas, even though we never won one. Our guys knew that every year they had the ability to compete. And obviously this year they're undefeated and playing really well for Coach Henningson. So, I think it's just kind of combining those philosophies of belief and being really good every year.
You mentioned swag. You said Farmington has swag. They do, they're undefeated, right? They play very well. They're ranked number 1. But I would say Artesia, the program, the town, the football is well known throughout the United States, not just in New Mexico, about Bulldog Bowl or the Artesia Bulldogs. So you mentioned that when teams have won 30 championships over the years, how many people and players from the past are scattered throughout that town that tell the current players like, look, I won one in '84 or whatever. You know, it's tradition. I say that about Coach Jim Murphy at Hope, right? He's got 16 championships. And, you know, all their players come back and say, we won one. It's expected, Coach, is what I'm saying. Success is expected. There's pressure there, right? There's always pressure when we're the head coach of anything. I don't care if it's, mini league ball. Yes, there's pressure, man. But I think in a way, there's no one more suited for that job than you. After you've been there, I can only imagine what it's like for you to come back home, man. I mean, because yes, you did a great job in Las Lunas. I love watching you there. I think you did a great job. But coming home, that had to mean something.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, walking down the ramp, the first home game against Hobbs was, I mean, it's been great. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, because you know what? It's a feeling you had when you were a player, right? You were the quarterback. Did you win a championship when you were there? You did, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I'll tell you what, Coach, when you walk in here and it's it's a full stadium, you see oh man, the memories flood back, right? As a player, you coach there. There's no other place that Jeremy Maupin belongs in Artesia, man. There's no question about it. You know, Coach, we're going to go over some of your stats here. And for the season, total yards, Artesia's got 4,077. Your opponents, 3,701. Passing yards, 2,339. Let's talk about your quarterback, Nate Taylor. 163 completions out of 311 attempts. He averages 199.18 yards per game, and he's thrown for 22 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Talk a little bit about him.
Yeah, he's his brother was the quarterback here in 2018. His dad coached me in basketball back when I was in 10th grade. I've known the family my whole life. Really good family. Nate's a really good guy. He's a lefty. He can sling it, man. He can chunk it around. I think it took him a little while to get back into it. Last year during COVID, he moved over to Texas, and he went and played baseball for Trinity Christian and helped lead those guys to a state championship appearance. They ended up losing that game by a run, I believe, but he's a big lefty pitcher. He's going to pitch at Midland, to play baseball there at Midland College. Really good kid. Just like I said, slings it around the yard. He can sling it, but he's smart. He can make adjustments. He can check plays. He's played in the system his whole life. He didn't play football last year, the whole year, and so I think it took him a little while to get back into a groove. But really excited about where he's playing right now and the leadership he brings to our team.
Your running back, Jake Barrera, he leads you in rushing, 214 carries, 1,563 yards, 7.3 yards per carry, and that tells me a lot about your offensive lineman as well. He's got 142.09 yards per game. Talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, set the record for Artesia for rushing yards in the game. I think right now he's, if things.
How many was that, Coach? I'm sorry. You said the record. I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's a long history. Tell us how much that was.
Yeah, he rushed for, I think it was 363 yards against Lovington, beating a record that had been there since 1984. And so you look at him, he's only about 5'5", 5'6". He's a little guy, but you watch him play. I know I'm biased, but I think you talk to like a Coach Ridenour. I think you talk to coaches around the state, and they're going to tell you he's one of the best backs, if not the best back in the state. Catches the ball well out of the backfield, and when he gets the ball in his hands, he makes people miss. For being as little as he is, he is tough to tackle, and he competes. And like I said, last week against Mayfield, rushed for 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. Just had a tremendous year in big games. He's big against Cleveland, had big game rushing, but also had 2 big kickoff returns. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands, and we try to get it in there as many times as possible.
Wow. If you say, the 205 yards against Mayfield, an Artesia record, and considering the records that are in that record book, that's quite impressive because you mentioned the players and the teams that have come before you in the past. Your leading receiver, of course, Peyton Grayhouse, 42 receptions for 592 yards, 14 yards a catch. Let's go over the defense now. You wanted to mention Seth Johnson. He leads you with 116 tackles, 89 assists. He's got 2 sacks and 6 tackles for losses. Talk to us about him and your defensive unit, which has 21 sacks and 67, coach, tackles for losses. That's impressive. Talk to us about your defensive unit. You'll need every bit of them against Farmington.
Yeah, I mean, Seth's definitely the leader of that unit. Seth moved in this year. Their family moved in from he was the starting linebacker at Oregon Mountain High School last season.
Really?
Yes, sir. And his family moved over here. They had some family and they got some jobs over here, and they brought their family over here. And since day one, Seth's just been one of our hardest working kids. He plays middle linebacker for us, and he really leads our defense. That's who we signal to. He gets all the calls. He gets us in the right formations, and he is a really, really good football player. Should get a chance to play at the next level. He's really, really good kid too. I think our second leading tackler is Dominic Pacheco, and this will tell you a lot. He got hurt in Cleveland and hasn't played since Cleveland, and he's still the second leading tackler on our defense. So we haven't had him. That's one of our best players that's been hurt, but he's a really good football player as well. Riley Jarrett is leading our team in sacks. He's a big junior defensive end. Plays basketball, really, really fast, quick moves. We're hoping, we need guys like him to really step up and help us against Furby in the passing attack, because he's going to help us get some pressure. Really, our D-line as a unit has just played really well this season. We rotate some guys in there. DJ Lunas had a good season. Gage Donaghy's move in, but his family all played here growing up. On past teams, and they just moved back from Utah this last summer, and so we have some guys there. Luis Pondo leads our secondary. He's not leading the team in interceptions, but he's more of our strong safety roll down. We play a lot. We play Goddards and the Mayfields, the teams that run the ball, Roswells, and he sets an edge for us and brings just a level of toughness to that position that you don't typically get out of a safety. And so, but plus he can go cover best receivers when we're playing throwing teams. So he's a really good football player as well. But our defense is playing really, really well right now. We're hoping to continue that trend this weekend.
Coach, you'll need every hand on deck. There's no question about it. And Farmington's going to have a lot to deal with as far as your football team goes as well. And, just on the other side of that, Farmington or Goddard against Las Lunas. And, there's the makings of an Artesia Las Lunas game, but I know one game that you don't even think about that, although it's way in the back, way in the back of your mind, like way in the back. Coach Jeremy Maupin, Artesia head football coach, we wish you all the best of luck. We thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Desk.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thanks for all you guys do.
You bet. For producer Jason Pohl, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk.